in here to see Gail and Kay. Can you smell the fragrance in here? Can you smell? What does it smell like?
Christmas.
It smells like Christmas. I tried to get everybody to wear the old clothes and their dungarees and their bibs, and the only person that did it was my friend Dale Riley. Yeah, you want to stand up? Stand up, Dale. Let us just take a picture.
I am so proud of you,
but thank you. Thank you. So today is a little different. The program will probably be fairly short. We have a lot of things going on, a lot of music, a lot of speaking, a lot of sharing. And I had asked several of you weeks and weeks and weeks ago to be thinking about things that are special to you at Christmas time. And we all have fond memories of Christmas. I do as a child and growing up. We were like a walk. You know, we had Mama and Papa that lived with us. 5 children, a mom and daddy, and a grandma and grandpa, all in one house with how many bedrooms is this?
Well, there was only 3 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms. 4 bedrooms.
And then one of them.
So we all had to sleep in bedrooms together. Anybody grow up knowing how that was? And you survived. And believe it or not, we had an upright piano in our bedroom with 3 girls behind the door, so I could play the piano at the age of 10. So,
Full-size bed and a single bed.
yeah, God's blessings upon my childhood. I look back and there's so many things. You know, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. Mom and Dad just, you know, they did everything they could to provide for us. Daddy worked until I was about 16, and he was disabled after that. So, but the Lord blessed us with something that I would never trade for this world, and that's the memories, the laughter, the joy that we had in our home, growing up with siblings. I pray that you would feel all that today, and that you would be able to reminisce and remember those times. Even Kay and Bill have shared a lot of things with us about making popcorn at Christmas time and lighting the tree. Several different ones have shared different things with me. But if you have something on your heart today that you just want to remember, we're going to give you all time to share, and you can do that as well. The music's involved. I thank the Lord for Peggy and for bringing this to us. And the music's fun. It's songs you don't know, but that's okay. We didn't know them either. And we still might not know them. So if we mess up, nobody's going to know. Okay? So pray for me that I'll get all this in my head. But we're going to have them on the overhead. We want you to sing them with us. You don't have to stand. You can sit. Enjoy the music. Sing with us. Clap your toes. Clap your hands. Laugh. It's all right. The true meaning of Christmas is truly about Jesus Christ. So thankful for my Lord and Savior. So thankful that He came to this world, His baby, but He became my Savior. I'm thankful for my intimate, personal relationship with Him. If you don't have that this morning, I encourage you to know Jesus. Be ready to go if He calls you. Be ready. So with that, we're going to start our program. It's called the Old Fashioned Christmas. And we're going to start off with being in Sandy. And afterwards, we got a special treat. And I mean treat. We will have goodies afterwards. As far as I know, I think we're going to be having goodies afterwards. That's what I've been told. And we got a special visitor. He'll be coming, and he'll make a grand appearance at the end for our children especially, and for our adults too.
We're going to take a sentimental journey back through the years of time. We're going to take a sentimental journey, and we're going to turn the microphone on. Yes, no. We're going to take a sentimental journey back through the years of time. We're going to take a sentimental journey with adults that are so light on that microphone.
It's on. Hold it a little
Hold it
closer.
up to your mind. It's about the times we credit when folks had simple ways. We want to tell you now Christmas in the good old days.
Time passing seems to leave the little things behind, but Christmas lives when other thoughts have faded from the mind. We're going to take a sentimental journey, keeping hearts in touch. We're going to walk the golden bridge of memory, one that we love so much. We're going to stroll the winding path together along reminiscing way. We're going to tell you now of Christmas back in the good old days.
not one of you, I think I'm gonna have to leave.
You've got to say something. Something. Say something.
Well, she said I gotta say something. So welcome everyone. We're glad you're here today. And we're going to do something a little different today. We will be leaving the present and going back in the past to our childhoods. So you better crank them memory banks up and get them fired up and ready to go. One of the things I like to do at this time of year is reflect back on my memories of Christmas when I was a child. It seemed as if we always had a lot of snow on the ground. I can still picture us trudging through the snow in the fields looking for that perfect Christmas tree to be cut down and brought into the house. We all know only perfect will do for a Christmas tree, so you're going to be walking for hours. Then my mother helped us make most of the decorations for the tree. We worked for many nights making colored paper chains and stringing popcorn and cranberries. And every Christmas Eve found us at the little country church for the annual Christmas pageant.
The idea of decorating a tree for Christmas was introduced by the German settlers in the early 1700s, but it took more than 100 years for it to become generally accepted. People in the cities and towns began to dress their trees quite elaborately. They used fancy cookies and candies, imported trinkets, and even miniature toys. They even carefully placed candles to illuminate their tree. Those who lived in isolated cabins and the rural settlements, though, used simpler decorations. These were often made from materials from the nearby woods or fields. Scraps were saved from the calico dresses and made into small clowns and dolls. Popcorn strings and gingerbread men draped the branches and enhanced the clusters of nuts and pine cones. It mattered not where it was, in the city or on the farm, decorating the Christmas tree was a very grand occasion.
just about everybody I know has enjoyed going to Grandma's house, especially for Christmas. How well I remember her working for days in the kitchen. She baked cookies, cakes, and pies for the season. From scratch, I mean. She made them, not using one Duck and Hines or Betty Crocker cake mix. Woo! Wow! Oh, what mincemeat pies and banana breads came from her oven. And one more thing. You've never really lived until you have slept in a feather bed at Grandma's house. Have you ever slept in a feather bed and woke up to a feather up your nose or blessed? Wow.
Together with the children's stockings. Dad always hung mistletoe. And Mother saw to it that the phonograph blared with Christmas music. Oh, what a wonderful time it was.
La la la
What is it with her?
The very mention of the word Christmas stirs all five of my senses, and I think it may do the same for you. For example, what do you think of when I mention the sounds of Christmas, such as ringing bells? Vicki, what do you think of?
I think of the ringing bells too, especially with the Salvation Army, because they're out there all the time ringing those bells and making their money so they can buy these little children toys like myself at one time.
Amen.
So I was very thankful for that, and I'm very thankful for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what do you think of when I mention the smells of Christmas? Maybe some hot chocolate? Melissa and Llewellyn, what do you smell?
Hey, here you go. Share those memories.
Well, last week when I heard Norman say something about the smells of Christmas, me and Llewellyn both looked at each other and said, hot apple cider. So our mother would make, at Christmas time, well, first of all, she would boil orange slices and cloves and cinnamon on the stove, so the whole house would smell like Christmas. So we think about, she made a Christmas tea also with some nutmeg and cinnamon, and we brought samples. They're back here in that box right there on the technology stand. And we brought samples for everybody to take just a little bit home with her recipe and directions of how to have your own Christmas tea.
Oh,
Thank
boy.
you.
Woo.
Thank you.
How about the feel of Christmas? Whenever, like maybe pulling out an antique nutcracker or something antique you always use. Mike and Peggy, what special things make you feel Christmas?
Who gets to speak first?
I didn't know we were supposed to be a part of this, but y'all remember, I think it was when she said this is her line, but I'm thinking we had gift exchange in class at Christmas time. And I remember getting a gift that was wrapped up and I opened it up and it was a box. Have you ever seen a book of lifesavers? Well, this is the closest thing I could find. It's got gummy bear lifesavers in it. I thought that was the neatest thing. I opened it up and it had 2 rows of nothing but lifesavers. Of course, that's food to me. I was happy going.
Well, I've written down several things so I wouldn't forget it. As a child, I remember Mama taking James and Bobby and me shopping in downtown Burlington. Mama had to park in Sid's parking lot behind Sears. And we walked all over downtown. And looking back, I know my mama had to be exhausted lugging 3 kids and packages all over downtown Burlington. And we always carried our portable potty with us for emergencies. You know, there weren't many bathrooms back then. And talking about smells, the thing that stands out most to me. Now that big play. Okay. The thing that stands out to me the most. I went to my grandma Sykes' house down in Orange County was you open the door and smell those homemade biscuits cooking. And they smelled so good and they were so good. And when I got older, I made homemade biscuits one time and invited my daddy for lunch. He took one, he picked up one and he said, "Girl, you could rock a road with these biscuits." And you could. Now instead of rocking a road, I'm running. Well, when I got to high school, all I wanted was a pair of PZS shoes for Christmas. They were $13 way back then. That was a lot of money. And they had 3 skinny straps across the foot. My parents said, that shoe wouldn't even cover your foot. They'd wear out fast. Well, I begged and said that was all I wanted. They were there Christmas morning. I was a happy girl, and they lasted a long time, too. They were expensive. I look forward to going to the community center each Christmas. Sellers Manufacturing would give out treats, and Santa Claus would come. And there was always a huge crowd. Couldn't hardly find a parking place. I remember making paper chains and stringing popcorn for the live tree at home and school. Now you can't have live trees. One year, Daddy had trouble keeping the tree upright. He fixed it. He nailed it to the floor. Mom would always be up late on Christmas Eve, mopping and waxing all the floors. Then she put newspaper down when the floors dried to help keep the floors clean from all those dirty shoes from the barn, and then she'd take it up later. I started a tradition with our grandchildren after Angie Walters told me that she and her grandma Merle made Christmas cookies each year. I made cow aprons for all of us. We always have a great time decorating these cookies every year. I'll never forget the pity party I had in the 8th grade. We had a Christmas party and the students exchanged presents. The other kids got toys and games. All I got was peppermint candy. What a present, I thought. Well, I was on the school bus to go home having my pity party. A much younger little boy got on the bus and he was crying. He didn't get anything for Christmas at school. He sat down with me. I looked at him and I gave him my peppermint candy that I didn't want. He quit crying and started smiling. That was the end of my pity party 60 years ago. I found out that it's more blessed to give than receive when it's done with pure motive, and that's from Acts. You'll get more blessings, have more joy, experience greater happiness from giving than receiving.
We have now discussed the sounds, smells, and feel of Christmas so far. What about the taste of Christmas? Maybe like calories and carbs? Donna, tell us your favorite food.
My favorite food?
Foods.
Oh, foods are, my favorite food is peanut butter. What are they called? Reese's Cups, but I make my own. I make my own candy canes and everything. But my favorite food, I think, is I just started with the muffins, the mini muffins, and then I made 5 different kinds, and I just opened my oven and I ate 6 of each kind. So now there's no more cookies, there's no more candy, they're all going to be muffins.
Okay. Finally, let's discuss the sights of Christmas. What are those sights? Maybe joyous sounds of people laughing and singing. Tim, what do you see when you know it is Christmas?
Well, all I want to tell you is what happened in 1967. I remember the year I was 8 years old. And I'd asked for a bicycle with a 3-speed in it with a banana boat seat on it. And a 67 Chevelle car. Because it was the year 67. And I knew I wasn't going to get no real car, but they made toy cars, you know. So it was on Christmas Eve. I got up that morning, and I can't remember exactly what my mother told me to do, but I didn't do it. And she said, you know that Santa Claus is coming tonight. I said, well, I hope so. She said, well, it's probably going to bring you a bundle of switches if you don't do what I said. Well, I went off that day with my daddy and my brother. And I came back home that afternoon, and underneath the Christmas tree was 40 of the most perfect cut hickory switches. with a big red bow around it. The widest bow I believe I've ever seen. With my name on it. Well, and that was all under that Christmas tree. Well, I started crying. And my mama said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I got these switches and I can't understand what for." She said, "Because you didn't do what I told you I was going to do." She said, "You can get switches too, you know." I said, "Well, I know it now." So we had a fireplace in the house, and my granddaddy got a hold of them. He's the one that went and cut them and threw them in the fireplace and burned them up. And I want all these youngins in here to know that you can still get switches for Christmas if you don't do what your parents tell you to do.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if there's anyone else that would like to share a Christmas memory that we haven't called on, or you just feel compelled to do it at this time. Feel free to share.
I'm remembering one more thing about my mother lived in Saxby Hall for just a little bit.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Gotta get you to hear.
I was remembering one more thing. Our mother lived in Saxby Hall for a little while because her grandparents lived down here, and she told us one time that Mr. Jordan, I think it was B. Everett's wife, every Christmas she would give, and it reminded me when you said go to the center, Miss Jordan would give the little girls a real china doll and a porcelain china doll, and all the boys got a wooden stick horse. So, and she had hers, but we had some water damage in our house when we were really little, and she lost that doll. So, anyway, that was a good memory of hers.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody else that would like to share?
I remember going to my grandmother's house when we were little, and she always made these pound cakes, and they were just the best. And she'd make this hard icing that went on, and she would decorate it with green and red cherries, and they were just the best. And then when we would go to her house, she had this little ceramic Christmas tree. I don't know if any of you remember those, but they've made a comeback now, but hers was one of the old ones. And I just would go over and touch it and admire it when I was there. And then I would go to my grandmother's house, and she had a big metal tinsel tree. It was silver, and she would put these blue balls all over it, and I colored it. And I just remember those things, and it just reminds me of the good times we had, and the people we lost that we loved, and, you know, makes you wish for those days back sometimes.
Amen. Is there anyone else?
Miss Kennedy.
Okay. Wait just a minute, Miss Kennedy.
I think my favorite of all, you know, I had 9 children, all in 10 years. And when they all got big enough, they went to church. And at Christmas time, they would all put their hands down on cookie dough. And then they would write what they thought about the church. And it was so nice that they had Jesus, the manger scene, and they would work in. It was so nice to make it nice. Back then, you couldn't make it out of nothing but dough, you know, you couldn't have plastic heat. I have a lot of the memories with all of those children. You can take my little, and even the baby, she was 6 months, she put her little hand down there too. So it's just a long memory. And it's hard when you're probably mother and father, like mine was for so many years. I was so many person.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to share?
I do say,
Don't be shy.
I have several memories. I could be like Peggy, like little. Because Will and I, we were 2 or 5. But at some of my memories, we were just 2 at the time. And we always go out in the woods and hang out on a Christmas tree. And it was one particular year. She was in 62, I was in 64. And our mother passed out in the woods, and we thought she was dead. Well, not long after that, here come Buck. So she was actually expecting, and we had no idea. But we were younger, but that's something I can remember. But Mama and them always made sure that we were provided for. It took, because Daddy was disabled, And we didn't grow up with a lot of material things. But the one thing we did grow up with was love. And that good smell in the house at Christmas time, because my mom made her own cakes and sold them. That's how she made money. And we would sit there and that hand grinder, and we would do all her fruits and stuff for these cakes. Coconuts, in the oven. Daddy would crack it with a hammer. We would help peel them. And, back then, we thought, gosh, this would work. But now, just to be able to get back to that, because now they do come out of a box. But, and Mama would take us every year since Santa Claus, and this one particular year, we was over at Park Plaza. Santa Claus was coming in a helicopter. And poor old Buck had just got his brand new glasses. And he was coming in on that helicopter, and Buck was so excited, and he was backing up, and he tripped and broke those brand new glasses. And they were medicated glasses, okay, so you only get one pair every so often. So, those seemed tragic at that time, but, those were fun memories. Every year at Thanksgiving, we would decorate Mama's house. We were talking about this the other day. And if you went down there after Christmas lunch on Christmas Day, there was no sign of Christmas. They were gone, put back up. There was always a hurry to get them out, but always a hurry to get them back up. But the one thing, if it wasn't for Aunt Hazel and that tinsel tree with the colored wheel, that's one of my memories with her. But Uncle Willard would always make sure that Mom and Daddy would be able to provide for us for Christmas. And, kids now, they have no idea what it's like to live back in the late 60s and early 70s with disabled parents that lived in the house with your grandparents. Thank God for those memories, because those are good memories and special memories and loving memories.
Thank you. Are there others that would like to share?
Well, I'd just like to say that one time I knew somebody that got them switches just like Tim did. I did. I know somebody got them switches and they didn't get burned up either.
I was hoping that would not come out this morning.
Well, share it. You just got to share.
I can't believe it's coming.
Say what?
Did you get the switches or Bill get the switches?
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Oh.
But given that, I will say, you talked about memories. I wouldn't even want to share the memories we had between me and her with her and the sister. So, and it all came back on me, unfortunately. Is there anybody else that would love to share? Oh, okay.
Instead of switches, Nintendo switches.
Oh, that would be a good idea. Yeah. That's a good idea. Anybody else have
Down there.
That's what he thought.
Anybody else have anything to share?
I was talking about the old memories that we were making, but now I'm making new memories with my aunts and uncle. And I think we need to make new memories sometimes too.
Amen to that. Anything else? Anybody else need to share? Please. Going once? Going twice? Well, it sounds like today we confirmed everybody's blessings and memories that Christmas is a very special time of the year, in the past and the present. So, and the one thing is for Christmas, there is no place like home for the holidays.
Oh, there's no place like
it came to pass in those days, when a decree went out from Caesar Augustus, that all the world should be registered. This census first took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So all went to be registered, everyone to his own city. Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed wife, who was with child. So it was that while they were there, the days were completed for her to be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Now there were in the same country shepherds, living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were greatly afraid. Then the angel said to them, Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which will be to all people. For there is born to you this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be the sign to you. You will find a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, Glory to God on the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Christmas Eve always found us at the church for a program that none of us would ever miss. We didn't have children's choirs or Christmas cantatas in those days, but we did have the annual Christmas pageant with the children dressed up in Daddy's bathrobe and looking like little shepherds, wise men, and angels, and we even had a Mary and Joseph. And as those familiar faces moved toward the manger with their gifts in hand, for an instant my mind shut the whole world out, and I too moved closer for a glimpse of that tiny babe. Just then the guitar strung, and I found myself at church listening to one of my favorite Christmas songs, just like this one.
Unto the
The Bible points out that before anything else existed, there was Christ with God. It further states that he became a human being and lived here on earth among us. And he was full of loving, forgiveness, and truth.
Do you know this one whose birth we have just sung about? If you do not have fellowship with God through Jesus Christ, his Son, we urge you to receive him today. As 2 Corinthians 6:2 tells us, "Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation." Won't you join us in singing some familiar carols to celebrate the birth of our Savior? Well, that really sums up our feelings about Christmas. Time in passing seems to leave the little things behind, but Christmas lives when other thoughts have faded from the mind.
It has been refreshing to think once again of Christmas as I knew it many years ago. May this timeless message bring to our hearts as we remember Christmas in the good old days. We hope the journey through your childhood many years ago has been fun and brought you lots of joy and love from your past. We wish you a very Merry Christmas and may peace be with you.
So we got one last song, and we want you to stand and sing it with us to give you time to get a fresh break from being seated for a good while. This is a song we did a while back in one of our Christmas cantatas, and I thought it'd be appropriate and a good song to end on because it's upbeat. It's all about Christmas. It's Christmas time, but it's all about our Savior this morning. So sing it with us, okay?
Luke 2:17 and 18 said, after the shepherds had seen him, they told
You be sure it's 95?
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
Luke 2:17 and 18 said, after the shepherds had seen him, they told they reported what the angel had said about this child. All who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. And just like those shepherds, once we find Jesus, once we understand the incredible gift we've been given, we can't keep it to ourselves. This is good news we have to share. It's Christmas. Jesus has come.
It's Christmas, the angels are singing, and I know the reason, the Savior is born. It's Christmas, the bells are ringing, and I feel like shouting, joy to the world. Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask thee to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all the dear children in thy tender care, and fit us for heaven to live with thee there. It's Christmas, the angels are singing, and I know the reason, the Savior is born. It's Christmas, the bells are ringing, and I feel like shouting, joy to the world. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, the humble Christ was born, and God sent us salvation that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Jesus Christ is born. It's Christmas, the angels are singing, and I know the reason, the Savior is born. It's Christmas, the bells are ringing, and I feel like shouting, joy to the world, joy to the world, joy to the world, joy to the
The people on the table. That's a hard song to sing. But remember, Christmas is about Jesus. Share it everywhere you go. We got a special visitor, and we got treat bags afterwards. So I'm going to invite our special guest to come in. If we can all just make a... Oh, here he
Merry Christmas.
Santa Claus is going to be out in the foyer, and he's going to be giving out some different things to everybody.
your name is praised, isn't it? Yeah, I remember this last year. Thank you, Pastor.
We're going to close with that. God bless you and Merry Christmas, and have time for Santa Claus to give you something, and meet outside with you and talk to you. God bless you.
Yeah, I want gold.